Hello everyone and welcome to the 9th mission of my Halo Infinite Legendary Walkthrough Guide. This is the sequence, and this mission is kind of different because it can be done in any order. There's not a specific way that you're supposed to go about this. You can also use fast travel. You can use any of the fobs to get to and from areas. I didn't do any of that. All I did was basically from point A to point B, just a consistent, non-stop. Like, I wanted to minimize using the TAC map as much as possible. But before we start going around getting all the sequences, let's take out a few of these enemies so we can open the door, just to be told, yeah, we need to go get the sequence, which is the point of the mission. But clearing out these enemies here, there's just going to be a few enemies, mostly grunts and elites, but there are a couple of jackals around here. I didn't really have much to start this mission out with. Typically you'll see me with a battle rifle, but here I am utilizing the fairly balanced sandbox that is in Halo Infinite. Once you clear out these last few enemies, you're going to see me pick up a disruptor as well as a mangler. This will be done for later when we go fight the hunters at the second sequence. So right here, we're going to go and open the door, and I'll see you guys in a sec.
I'll get this open.
Is there a problem?
I don't think so. Okay, there might be a problem. Something, and I think we know who, has modified the sequencing needed to access the spires.
Plan B.
Are we only at B? Seems higher. Okay. Plan B.
Okay, so I want to say it one more time. I know that I mentioned it earlier prior to this cutscene, but basically the entire goal of this mission, because it's kind of weird, right? Because there's not a specific way you could go about it. You could go straight up to Fob November, take that that beacon down, or you could go all the way to Fob Hotel, or you can go to Fob Juliet. It doesn't really matter, as long as you get all four. So if you do have the ability to use fast travel, I highly recommend doing so. But this is basically for somebody who doesn't have any of the fobs. So as you see here, I'm scaling to the top of this little point right here. You're going to toss down a drop wall. Make sure you have your disruptor out if you actually have one. If you do not have one, you don't need to worry about it. But basically the whole point of having the disruptor is, in any case these banshees start targeting you like they are right now, you could use your disruptor, EMP them, and then hijack them easily. But if you get close enough to them to be able to grapple jack it like you saw me do right there, and you're just going to fly off exactly down this path. If you try to take it towards Fob November, you're going to get shot down by the banshees there, and you're also going to get shot down by a bunch of those brute snipers that have skewers. So make sure that you are following along. If you're trying to follow this guy literally one-to-one, I recommend going to the beacons at the very, very bottom of the map first, and then going back around, finishing at Fob November for the last beacon. So back to what I was saying, if you guys have fast travel, I would highly recommend it. A good portion of the reason why this video is so long is because of the flying. There's a lot of flying downtime where I'm sitting there just trying to get from one beacon to the next. So if you do have fobs, or if you don't have those fobs and you want to go grab them, like, I highly recommend going and grabbing those. They make your life easier. There's going to be areas that you can resupply. I don't get the opportunity to resupply in this one. All I get to be able to do is use the Banshee to fly from one beacon to the next. Now, if you do have those fobs, it's a good point to resupply there and get prepared for the enemies that you're going to have at each of these beacons. The consistency in the encounters is something that should be noted. You should always make sure that you have something for like some explosive, a skewer, something like that for vehicles, hunters, stuff like that. But I don't have that, so I recommend getting that if you have the chance to. But as you saw back a few moments ago, I dropped off the Banshee out of the area of the beacons. The reason why I did that is it makes it easier for me to get back onto the path, as well as ensure that the Banshee doesn't get destroyed. The hope is that the Banshee doesn't get destroyed during your run either. So just make sure that you're playing safe with it. And speaking of playing safe, you want to go up behind these beacons whenever you come up to them. The reason for that is because there's going to be a lot of points in times where there's enemies in front of the door. You don't want to be just walking up the ramp at the front of the beacon. Otherwise, you're going to be getting just mowed down by artillery, whether that be a wraith, ghosts, hunters, whatever. So, as you can see here, just sitting up here, mowing down these enemies as I see them. This is a good spot to use your threat sensor if you have it. Or, of course, you'll have it. But if you have 2 charges, this is where you're going to want to probably toss one on both sides of the tower. And once you take out a good portion of these enemies, just make sure you use your whatever weapons you have. I just have the Mangler plus my Disruptor to take out these elites. The elites are the only remaining enemies here that you need to make sure you take down. There's going to be one more that's going to charge around the corner once his first elite buddy is dead. Just going to use your Mangler to take this guy down. Once he is down, the door should open. Going to toss down the drop wall to make sure that I don't die by a single Wraith mortar. Just going to run on inside of the beacon. And then that's the first part of the sequence down. 1 down, 3 to go. We're going to get right on into this cutscene. I'll see you guys after.
Okay, let's do this. You know, this might actually work. Or maybe not.
What is it?
I can't construct the sequence. Well, not all of it. I don't have enough data.
Then we get some more.
Alright guys, 1 down, 3 to go. So we're going to head right on back to our Banshee. We're just going to get right on out of this beacon really fast. And basically this is the part where I was talking about earlier, where this would be nice to have fast travel, right? After you finish a beacon, go and fast travel to the next one. As you saw there, I did toss that drop wall down, so in any case I didn't get hit by a mortar from a Wraith. And I also pick up the shock rifle as well as the Hydra. Main reason why is that the Hydra is going to be used for those hunters later on at the next beacon that we're going to go to, as well as the shock rifle to take out the very strong shielded enemies. There's going to be an elite ultra there, or a zealot. It could be either or. As well as a few elite majors and a couple of elite miners. So make sure that you are aware of those. Utilize the shock rifle. Maybe you can go to your fob supply there, get some snipers, and you can take them down, or a rocket launcher for these hunters. But thankfully they do give you a lot of good ordnance around these beacons that you can use. Like, for an example, the next beacon that we're going to go to actually has a rocket launcher that you can go and grab. You don't necessarily have to like go to your fob to go get a rocket launcher, but it is nice to be able to go and do. But as I said, get back into your Banshee, and you're going to follow this flight path pretty much exactly. And the reason is that in any case you have a beat up Banshee, you're going to go pick up a brand new one in a few moments. And the whole reason for that is we want to make sure that we're 100% safe whenever we're flying around. Again, as I said, there's going to be a lot of downtime. We want to make sure that we are flying perfectly. Like, there's not going to be any issues, especially in a no deaths run like this. We want to make sure that we're always in the best possible situation that we can put ourselves in. Now, if you're following the path perfectly, there's going to be a Banshee dead ahead. Just make sure that you park it right here. You can see this Banshee's pretty much always been here. It's fairly close by the other beacon as well, so I would recommend there's no downside in picking it up on the way to go to this beacon. So beacon number 2 is, I would argue, more difficult. It's probably, of the 4 beacons, is the second most difficult. And the reason is those hunters mainly. Otherwise, the rest of this is fairly easy. Now for your Banshee, you're going to park it right back here. And it gives you the perfect spot to go behind this beacon again. You're going to hear a Phantom dropping off reinforcements. Don't worry about it. You're not going to be anywhere, like, you're not going to be getting aggroed. But you're not going to aggro that Phantom on you. So just make sure that you are coming up behind the beacon as we did for the first one. You're going to go to the left side because the Phantom is on the right. Take down the first Jackal Sniper, take down the second one, and then you're going to make sure that you have those Stalker Rifles for later, simply because once we're out of that Shock Rifle ammo, we're going to use that instead. Now, there's going to be enemies here. You're going to take them out left to right, kind of just the elites first, go into the Jackals and then the Grunts. And whenever you get a chance to, make sure that you are taking down those hunters' health with your Hydra. If you have rockets, feel free to use those as well. Now, once you hear the second Phantom come in, you're going to sit here on the back left of this beacon. If you are in a position to start doing damage to any enemy, just go ahead, full send it. If it's a hunter, use your Hydra. If it's any other enemy, just use your shock rifle. Now, once that Phantom does officially take off, you are going to be able to be a little bit more aggressive. As you can see here, it goes to the left, so you want to go to the right. And then once you're here, take out your shock rifle or your sniper, whatever you have, and start taking down these elites here. There are typically 2 of them on this hill over here. They could be somewhere else, like around where I'm taking down these grunts. And then this is that elite ultra / zealot that I was talking about earlier. He goes cloak once you do enough damage to him. He has a heat wave. Make sure he does not get close to you. It is a one-shot to you if you take the brunt of the heat wave on legendary. Now, there is a little bit more shock rifle ammo up here if you want to grab it. There is a little quirk, by the way. If you're noticing that I have some of these enemies distracted by Marines, that wasn't me setting this up like that. That was just, I guess if you have Fob Hotel, the Marines will help you out here. But I don't know really why the Marines are distracting them actually fairly well too. But either way, it's a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. So we're just going to keep taking down these enemies. The Elite Ultra that we're taking down here, he's the main threat right now that I'm targeting. The Hydra right now also kind of low on ammo, so make sure that you're not using the Hydra on the on that Elite. Just use it on the Hunters here. Just make sure that you have it on lock. And unfortunately, this is not the multiplayer Hydra that got a buff. This is still the slow reload and everything like that. So once you're out of ammo for both your shock rifle and your Hydra, make sure you pick up a stalker rifle, take out these enemies. At a certain point, you're going to kill enough of this Elite's friends that he's going to want to charge you, but thankfully, you're better. You can just take him down from range and just like that, use your stalker rifle or whatever else to take out that Elite. Once you see, like, there's not that many enemies left here. I didn't realize how well the Disruptor did against Hunters until right now. Actually, well, not right now, but while I was doing this. So that's why you see me actually using a Disruptor with decent results on Hunters. So here you go, got more Hunter. Like, this is the part where you just toss all your grenades. Accidentally whiffed on throwing that grenade. Toss in more dynamos. Trying to do as much damage to this Hunter as possible. Once it gets down to 1, even though, like, having 1 Hunter is pretty scary once, like, because they go berserk and they have faster fire rate and they, like, get a lot, like, really, really aggressive. Thankfully, they're not the red ones. So these blue ones are actually kind of easy to take out, even when they're enraged. So if you are in a position where you are kind of like scared to fight mano a mano against a Hunter, just remember, stay up here, use your drop wall, keep the threat sensor out, make sure that you know exactly where that Hunter is. Not really much else I can say. Pick up a commando if you want to. There's not really any purpose, it's just for the ammo at this point to try to take out the Hunter. Gonna utilize our Disruptor here. Gonna get up here to the top of the beacon again. And that rocket launcher that I was talking about is on the right side of the beacon. I'm actually trying to aggro this this Hunter here to stay on the left side so I have a safe path to go pick up that rocket launcher. But I'm wanting to expend all my Disruptor ammo on this Hunter. As you can see here, utilizing the drop wall really does help, especially when they're throwing big attacks at you. So going to go pick up that rocket launcher now. And thankfully it has 4 shots, so I highly recommend picking it up. Like, there's no excuse not to pick this up. Pick up the rockets here. That Marine is always there. And we're just going to toss several volleys at the Hunter here. Make sure that we know exactly how much more health it has, so we can be a little bit more aggressive. And once you take out all the enemies in the area, just like the previous beacon, you can go in and unlock the door and go inside to collect the next part in your sequence. But what you're trying to, But what you also want to do is go around scavenge for weapons. I was actually looking for a skewer that I saw drop from a grunt mule earlier. Should be around here somewhere. Trying to see, forgot where it died. Trying to like look around, and there you go. Found the skewer right here. Sometimes you have to hit down on the D-pad to be able to see where everything is at. But once you get what you need, I highly recommend getting a battle rifle and a skewer for this next part because it's very, very important, especially when you're fighting the ghosts as well as the shade turrets. But we're gonna worry about that after this cutscene. See you guys in a sec.
Let's see what we have here. Done. We're gonna need to get 2 more samples, though. Sorry, I thought it would be easier.
It's fine. Are you okay?
It's nothing. I just felt like someone was, I don't know, watching me.
Alright guys, we're halfway through. We just need to get back to our Banshee and then get on to beacon number 3, where more fun is going to await us and what I would call probably the second most difficult engagement in this entire mission. And it's not even really they have more hunters there. It's really just that they have heavy shade turrets. They have a lot of skimmers with shock rifles and commandos. They have a lot of ghosts there. It just becomes hectic. So once we get there, I'll show you guys what's going to happen and how we're going to tackle it. But over here, you guys can see a large area that is good for cover. You guys could have parked your Banshee over here as well. Pretty much anywhere right there would have been fine. And you also would have had that hill there with a... that would have been really good for a vantage point to use your sniper. But all you're going to do is you're going to fly down this chasm. This is kind of what we're going to be doing the entire time. Just getting to beacon number 3. But coming up in a few moments, you're going to see that I am caught out by a couple of Banshees. There's one dead ahead, and there's one that I didn't even see coming up behind me. So I had to improvise. This, I had done that route so many times. So I was actually on my phone messing around on TikTok, and I saw that I was getting shot. I was like, wait, this should not have happened. So I had to pivot, and I should have probably just kept on flying, re-corrected my path, and gone back towards that beacon. But unfortunately, I got caught out again, and I was trying to be a pro gamer here and try to get out of my Banshee, grapple jack that Banshee. But unfortunately, I kind of messed up. I kind of goofed. So thankfully, I dropped onto a bunch of Marines. It could have been really bad if it was a bunch of banished. But either way, using this Warthog here, it was a Rocket Hog. Taking out this Banshee, it kind of worked out. And it also worked out because Fob Hotel, I noticed, was in my view. Thankfully, I had Fob Hotel. If you've been following those intermission guides, we have all the fobs right now. But if you don't have the fobs, this is going to be one of those moments where you're going to be like, oh, no. But I would collect the fob while I'm here if I'm you, and then utilize the Banshees that are always at this fob, by the way, unless you use them to explore Zeta Halo. But this is the point where I would say go get this fob, secure it, go get the Banshee, and then get right back on to going to the beacon. Now, I got lucky that I dropped so close to Fob Hotel. Again, I try to minimize luck whenever I play out these missions for you guys whenever I go into these legendary guides, so I apologize. This was a very, very lucky run that ended up being a successful video, but sometimes that's part of the game, right? Sometimes you just get lucky and you end up succeeding. And I mean, it almost didn't pan out. Like, look again right here, this Banshee thought that they were the main character, and I just proved him otherwise. So we're just gonna get right back onto our path to go to the sequence. We're gonna fly over this, try to make sure that we know exactly where we're at. This is the chasm that I was talking about that you would want to keep flying around, because you can see the Pelican Down area on the left, and you have Fob Hotel's island here on the right. So we're just going to fly in between. This here would be a perfect route to take. We were just going to keep following that route all the way to the third beacon because it was always secure until this last round where I was able to get not caught not only by one Banshee but two. Usually if it's just one you can keep flying if you're smart about it, but it just became a whole thing. But now you guys can see how I kind of on the fly get out of these situations. Now, when you get to the third beacon, you're going to drop your Banshee off underneath. There's actually a kinetic ammo crate right here. You're going to fill up your battle rifle if you have it. And then you're also going to take note of that rocket launcher. So if you lose out on your ammo for your skewer, as well as shock rifle ammo, which should be very, very difficult because there's a ton of shock rifle ammo, at least you'll have that rocket launcher. And you're going to remember that rocket launcher for later when we go to the fourth fob. Or not fourth fob, but the fourth beacon. Now, unlike the other two beacons where we went up the backside, this one didn't make it easy for us to go up and get onto the backside of the beacon. This time we have to go and do something a little bit more aggressive. We have to go up from the side. And there's going to be a lot of enemies here. You're just going to use your grenades. Utilize your battle rifle. There's a ton of skimmers, as I said. This is where you're just going to want to use your drop wall, use cover, and make sure that you wait for them to come to you. And if you get tagged by a shock rifle, just sit back, get in the cover, drop your drop wall, and just wait for them to come to you. If you have full shields, though, and you have your skewer still, take out that ghost as soon as possible. That is the main problem. There's two ghosts in this area, typically. There's two ghosts typically in this area that will cause you a lot of headaches. So make sure that you are taking into account both the ghost as well as that heavy shade. Once you take the ghost out with 2 shots of your skewer, you can start taking out that heavy shade. Now this is where it kind of got a little crazy for me because I didn't have any more ammo in my skewer, and I was trying to get that shock rifle on the ground. I was trying to grapple it to me, but unfortunately twice I wasn't able to go get it, so I almost died twice trying to grab that shock rifle. I was still looking around for any more skimmers. I tried to take a little bit more time. Third time's the charm. I actually end up getting the shock rifle. Still looking out for any more skimmers that usually are on that ramp. But right now, just trying to take out this heavy shade. Or a light shade. It might be a light shade, I would say. Heavy shades are the ones that they had on Reach that shot air. I think this would be just a regular old shade turret. Whatever. Anyways, gonna try to keep taking out these enemies. If you get a chance to, use your shock rifle to take out the grunt sitting in that shade turret. And once that is done, you're pretty much in a perfect position to actually start getting a little bit more aggressive. Utilize your threat sensor and find where the last bit of enemies are. There's a lot of shock rifle ammo around here. Just make sure that you are using it. Keep an eye out for any more elites. The reason why I was so hesitant to push up is because there was still one more ghost that I knew of that was around here. I just couldn't find out where it was. So once I figured out that, well, my threat sensor's not picking it up, figured I could just come up here and start being a little bit more aggressive. Now, this is the only beacon, really, that you're going to be dealing with coming up from the front side. But that's because you fought all the enemies and you aggro them away from the beacon to now you can just come up here. You're going to be able to see that there's not a way to open the door until you take out all the enemies. You can see here, there's that ghost that I was talking about. It's all the way over there. But you want to make sure that you are very careful of your engagements against these elites. They do like to be aggressive. They do like to charge you. Once you take out all the enemies, though, you'll be able to open up that door. There's still a few more, so I said, you know what, let me go see if I can get a better vantage point by going up to the top here. You can see a Spartan Courier here on the left. We're going to be getting that in 9.1, by the way, after this video. So, looking around for the elite, there's a few more enemies. There's actually a shade turret here on the left. Utilize your shock rifle to take it out. Trying to get the jump. There we go. And then last but not least is this elite. I think he got out of the ghost because I still do not see that ghost anywhere on the map. I'm going to use the battle rifle to finish him off. And as I said, I do not see that ghost. I see it over there, but it looks like there's no one piloting it. So the weapon is saying that we're good to open the door. So I believe her. We're going to open the door. And that is 3 of 4 done. And the hardest part about getting to... the hardest part about the 4th beacon, by the way, is not the 4th beacon itself. It's getting there. because there's a lot of enemies between us and there. And it's the farthest one away. So I'll see you guys after this cutscene.
This won't take long. Just one more to go, right? This will...
Status. Status. What happened?
Chief, something pushed back. Scanned me. It's gone now.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Probably some sort of security protocol. It's nothing. Let's go get the last one.
All right, we're on to the last beacon. And this one, as I said, is not going to be that bad. It's really just a few enemies that really hit hard, and it's mostly because they have rocket launchers, so go figure, right? But other than that, it's actually a very simple take the beacon just like the first one. Just make sure you take out those enemies, and then once those enemies are taken out, just go back in, and then once you get that last one, then I would qualify it as a mission success. So before you take off, though, make sure you grab the kinetic ammo, whatever you have left for your battle rifle, and then you're going to fly up here really fast, grab the skewer, and then you'll be set to fly towards the final beacon, which is pretty far away. It's like we have to go to the attack map. That's where we're at right now, and that's where we have to go to. So we have quite a bit of distance to cover, and again, this is where if you have FOB November, feel free to just fast travel there and go up behind the beacon, and you're going to basically just clean house with whatever weapons you picked up at FOB November as well. But if you don't have FOB November, stick with me because I'm going to show you how to get there without dying, hopefully. No, I am. Trust. Well, you're just going to follow the path that I'm taking here. You're mostly doing it because there's going to be points in times where you're going to have banshees around. They do kind of randomize where things, like what spawns in certain areas. However, there are times where enemies will always be in a certain area. Like I'm going to show you one in a few moments. But basically, again, this is just dead air or dead air. I mean, nice pun. We're just going around flying to the next beacon. So there's going to be a little bit of time. By the way, there's always somebody around here, so you're going to fly down, and then you're going to keep going. Make sure you don't hit that soft kill boundary, though. But while we wait to get to the fourth beacon, I guess this is going to be the perfect time for me to do all the YouTuber things, which is to say, hey, feel free to hit that like button if you're enjoying the content so far, if you like these guides. After the sequence, it's going to be the final bit of the intermission guides, 9.1 through 9.3, and that'll be, once you're finished with 9.3, you're going to be you're going to be a beefy chief. Let's just say that you're going to be built different, and you're going to be able to handle mission number 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and those are already done. It's just going to be a little bit, but just like we have for the other beacons, once we get there, we're going to just park our Banshee at the back. There's going to be a rocket launcher here. Make sure that you keep your eye on that. And then pretty much you're just going to toss out your threat sensors immediately. Once you get up to the top of the beacon, make sure that you grapple up to the backside. And there's always a brute officer here. You're going to use your skewer, one tap him right there, and that is it for that brute officer. He has a heat wave, so make sure that you are being careful of that. Now, for the rest of the enemies, there's that first threat sensor, by the way, and then the other one is going to be coming up here on the left, covering up the entire area. And those are pretty much all the enemies that you have to worry about. We're going to toss our 2 dynamos out. Anybody that is in front of us, we're going to be focused on them. Nobody around the corner. There is another enemy right here. Looks to be a brute with a bulldog, so not really something to be worried about. But still, got to take out all the enemies, right? So we're going to be clearing out those enemies. Make sure that you are careful of any other enemies that have ranged. So like your rocket launchers, your snipers, make sure that they're all taken down, especially skimmers because they have commandos or shock rifles. slowly start to whittle down all their forces. Use your skewer to take out the shade turret from afar. Do not use, unless you have a shock rifle, feel free to use that as well. Just make sure you take it out from ranged. There is also a shock coil right there that you can EMP and then easily get a nice safe like peek on the on that shade turret. Sorry, I kind of was like stumbling over the word shade turret for some reason. Anyways, once we are done with our skewer, make sure you can pick out whatever weapon you want. I recommend using the Ravager here, mostly because we don't really use it in the main video. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just use this. So looking around for the final bit of enemies, there's that again, another brute with a bulldog right there. You can always tell that they have a bulldog when they have the shields up. Those are typically the ones that have it. Using the Ravager to take out the jackals here. Gonna look for any more enemies around here, and it looks to be safe. So we're just gonna open up the door, and we're gonna collect the 4th sequence. Once you collect the 4th sequence, that is it. That is technically the end of the mission. Some would say no, you have to go back to the command spire. But if you go back to the command spire and you do that, you accidentally start Nexus. And again, we're starting 9.1 right after this. And 1 second, we'll continue this after this cutscene.
Last one. No. This is a trap. She's trying to find out what I am, trying to use me to break the deadlock, start the spires. My routines plus the monitors. Not good.
Then we stop. Stalemate.
For now. She's close. Eventually she'll find a way.
Then we have no choice. I've got you. Red flag.
Nothing happened. Sorry. Maybe I'm going crazy. Or just paranoid. Did you say something back there?
It was nothing.
Okay. Well, we've got what we need.
Alright, back to what I was saying prior to the cutscene. I would say this is a natural stopping point for mission number 9. So that's where I'm going to leave it because I still have the intermission guides coming up, 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3. If I went straight over to the command spire, cleared the enemies there, and opened the door, I would be starting Nexus. And once you start Nexus, you can't do any of the fobs until the end of mission number 15. So that's where we're just going to leave it. 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3 are up next. And yeah, that's I guess where we're going to be saying that, like, if you made it to this point, you've beaten mission number 9, the sequence on legendary difficulty with no deaths. If you guys like the video, please, of course, hit that like button below. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, any suggestions for the future, feel free to drop that in the comment below. And also, if you guys want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing. A bigger number makes me happy, and I like seeing that number go up. So it's always more motivating to see the subscriber numbers go up. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one for 9.1. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys later.